Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Cycle 5858. I am Amish Cycle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please let's go to the headlines.
With all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night. Tonight we do have breaking news. The emergency unfolding right now. The images coming in. The fires. More than 50 homes burned to the ground tonight. Dozens of fires burning at this hour. Families racing to get out. Also breaking, the U.S. war in Iran tonight. The dramatic images playing out on Iranian state TV. Iran seizing multiple cargo ships near the Strait of Hormuz. Armed masked Iranians boarding the ship, sweeping through the vessel with guns drawn. It comes just hours after President Trump extended the ceasefire. And what's happening with any second round of talks? Back in the U.S. tonight, emergency crews on the scene of deadly chemical leak. At least 2 workers killed, more than a dozen hospitalized tonight. The neighborhood rocked by 2 home explosions just 2 hours apart. Multiple people hurt, including a child. Authorities on the scene of one explosion when another home explodes nearby. Tonight, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. grilled. He is asked, does President Trump know there's a major measles outbreak and how he answers? And he's pressed on the move to no longer require the flu vaccine for members of the U.S. military. In New York City tonight, the disturbing discovery in Times Square. A baby is discovered, and what we've learned tonight. Dramatic moments. A state trooper trying to stop a suspected DUI driver on the wrong side of the road. What the trooper does. The urgent search tonight for crew members. An American cargo ship capsizing. Remembering an iconic singer, songwriter, and guitarist. We'll look back tonight. And here in the U.S. tonight, celebrating the endangered baby elephant, marking this Earth Day at 500 pounds. This baby is America Strong. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News. Fox News alert, the commander-in-chief says you can't cave to crazy people, and Iran is a madhouse. Iranian generals have taken their country hostage, and the gay Ayatollah is still missing. The cardboard supreme leader has been, quote, non-responsive, and the Iranian military told the negotiators to unpack their bags and start picking up the phone. The Iranians don't have months or weeks. Energy traders say they may have till May. The president gave Iran's warring factions just a few days to get their ish together, and then says the ceasefire's over.
He's made his red lines very clear. Iran can never obtain a nuclear bomb to threaten the United States and our allies, and they must turn over the enriched uranium that's in their possession. While it is very far into the ground, thanks to the success of Operation Midnight Hammer, it's important to the president that they hand that enriched uranium over. He's made that quite clear to them, and now we're waiting to hear back from the Iranian regime.
This morning, Iran attacked 3 ships in the Strait and seized 2 of them, Swiss and Greco. How are you going to rob the Swiss? They haven't even taken the side. The Iranians went from the most feared military in the Middle East to a crusty crew of Persian swashbucklers.
These 2 ships were taken by speedy gunboats. Iran has gone from having the most lethal navy in the Middle East to now acting like a bunch of pirates. They don't have control over the strait. This is piracy that we are seeing on display. And the naval blockade that the United States has imposed continues to be incredibly effective.
Iran's navies in Davy Jones' locker, and the gay Ayatollahs see more action than the Iranian ports. Central Command says we're operating and enforcing the blockade across the Middle East and beyond. In the last 72 hours, U.S. forces have intercepted 3 Iranian oil tankers in Asian waters near India, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka. The president told Fox this: the blockade scares him even more than the bombing. They've been bombed for years, but the blockade they hate. When we blasted through one of their ship's engine rooms, the USS Spruance became our first Navy ship in almost 40 years to fire its deck gun at an enemy boat. The president says Iran's already collapsing financially.
They're choking their economy. We are strangling their main source of revenue. They can't pay their own people. They're losing $500 million every single day. Carg Island is completely full of oil because they can't transport it to and from. So the president, the cards are in his hands. The United States maintains control over the situation. He has all of the leverage.
The Iranian economy could be about to crash. Treasury says in a matter of days, Carg Island's oil storage will be full and oil wells will be forced to shut. That's when you do damage. You can't just cap it, flip a switch, and pump it back out. The president said, once those wells go down,
This is Sky News headlines. With peace talks on hold and oil and gas trapped in a Strait of Hormuz chokehold, the EU's energy chief tells Sky News holidays in the coming months may not be saved.
Even if we do everything we can, if the jet fuel's not there, it's not there.
In Lebanon, a missing journalist is found dead after an Israeli strike in the south.
Will the Prime Minister finally take responsibility and go?
Also ahead, number 10 firefights the Mandelson vetting scandal. The PM's former chief of staff will be groomed by MPs as well. And the devil still wears Prada. The stars of a very fashionable sequel walk the red carpet in London. Good morning. Well, the economic impact of the war being weighed. Soaring nerves this Wednesday night about jet fuel running out and airfares rising.
This is the first time the industry is faced with a supply issue.
The tens of thousands of flights grounded for months and the advice to travelers. Terrorism charges against a Quebec man, the sinister ways investigators say he tried to recruit teenagers online. No more dragging it out.
It will save lives.
One country's new strategy aimed at creating a smoke-free generation. Plus, centuries of hidden history.
This section used to be closed off.
Redmond Shannon walks the new path connecting two London landmarks.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. There are fresh warnings tonight from the airline industry about the impact the Iran...
This is Asia Now.
Hello, it's 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 a.m. in New Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Yasmin Yonkers, and at this hour, Iran's seizure of two ships near the Strait of Hormuz injects fresh uncertainty into U.S.-Iran peace talks. Tehran says reopening the waterway is impossible if the U.S. blockade continues. Turbulent times in the Trump administration. Another top U.S. military official makes a sudden departure in the middle of the war. Plus, tens of thousands of workers at Samsung Electronics rally at its factory in South Korea, ramping up pressure over wage talks ahead of a possible strike. Iran standoff in the Strait of Hormuz intensifies as Tehran seizes two commercial ships.
How could this day get any worse?
Comedy that leaves an impression. Stream now on ABC iView.
Today, the government defends its NDIS cuts amid criticism from disability advocates.
What we are doing here, to be clear, is returning the NDIS to what its original purpose was.
While the big body representing disability service providers says it's long overdue.
We are just very pleased that finally yesterday the decision was made to increase the regulation for providers.
underway until the US lifts its blockade. Carlton's coach defends the club after player Elijah Hollins was admitted to hospital following a mental health episode. And veteran ABC broadcaster James Valentine dies aged 64, 2 years after his cancer diagnosis. Hello, welcome to ABC News. I'm Melissa McKay.
Africa News. The news.
6 men pleaded not guilty to treason and terrorism charges over a Bosch coup plot. Nigeria media reported Wednesday as a fast prosecutions for the alleged 2025 Bosch attempt get underway. The government had initially denied the existence of the alleged coup attempt before announcing in January it had forged a plan to overthrow the government. If successful, it will have brought an end to a quarter-century of democracy in Africa's most populous country. On Tuesday, the government announced 6 civilians charged with the plot at the Federal High Court in Abuja, including a retired Major General. The military is also set to try several officers in proceedings that have not yet commenced. Local media reported Wednesday that the 6 civilians in their first court appearance pleaded not guilty. The trial will continue on April 27.
2 men held hostage in Mali have been freed after almost 2 years in captivity, the Russian army said on Tuesday. Russian national Oleg Brenta and Ukrainian Yuri Yurov were rescued by Russia's Africa Corps unit, Moscow said in a statement. The 2 men were captured by an Al-Qaeda-linked group while working for a Russian geology company in southwest Niger. The paramilitary Africa Corps has taken over many operations of the Russian mercenary Wagner Group in Africa.
Sierra Leone has taken a new step toward unlocking its offshore energy potential with a fresh agreement involving Bulging and Shell. The deal allows Shell to carry out advanced geological and geophysical surveys across more than 20,000 square kilometers of offshore territory. The work will include basin modeling and petroleum analysis aimed at building a clearer picture of the country's deep water hydrocarbon reserves. Officials say the data will help reduce risk for investors and pave the way for future exploration. It follows a similar agreement signed with Italy's Eni last year, as Sierra Leone looks to attract major global players to its energy sector.
The Russian President Vladimir Putin met Seychelles President Patrick Hamidi at the Kremlin on Wednesday for talks focused on
France24.com.
Good morning, I'm Oliver Farry, and this is Daybreak, and here are this morning's headlines. Iran opens fire on 3.
France 24 and observers.france24.com.
Good morning, I'm Oliver Farry, and this is Daybreak, and here are this morning's headlines. Iran opens fire on 3 ships in the Strait of Hormuz and seizes 2 of them, further testing the uneasy ceasefire between Iran and the United States in the region. Iran says it is impossible to reopen the strait, while there are flagrant breaches of the ceasefire by the United States, which seized 2 Iranian ships on Tuesday. A Lebanese journalist is killed and a photographer wounded in an Israeli airstrike in the south of the country, one of 5 people killed in strikes on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Lebanon and Israel prepare to sit down for talks in Washington, in which Lebanon hopes to secure a 1-month extension of the current ceasefire. The European Union is set to release the €90 billion loan to Ukraine after Hungary lifted its veto upon the reopening of the enrichment pipeline. It's expected to be greenlit and is subject to the EU in Cyprus on Thursday. And we'll be taking a look at a new cycling sensation, 19-year-old Frenchman Paul Sexes, winner of 2 recent classics, including the prestigious The Flèche Wallonne.
Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I hope you will come again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.